Reform movement. By lighting the lamp of knowledge and wisdom, for seeking the choicest blessings for the same, I invite all the dignitaries to light the lamp. Dr. Sameer Kumar Sharma, Secretary of Dr. R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee, and Associate Professor of Department of English, Patna University, to welcome all the dignitaries present here.
Honorable Chairperson Dr. Shankar Ashish Dutt, who is the head of the Department of English, Patna University. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Patna University, Dr. Ras Bihari Prasad Singh. Respected Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, founder of Sulabh Sanitation and Social Reform Movement. Respected Dr. Damodar Thakur, former Chairperson, Faculty of Arts, Sana University, Sana, Yemen. Respected Dr. Sanjay Datta Rai, Professor of English, Allahabad University, Allahabad. Respected Dr. J.P. Singh, former head of the Department of English, Patna University, and former Vice Chancellor, L.N. Mithila University. Respected Dr. Avdesh Kumar Sharma, retired Professor of English, Tilka Majhi Bhagalpur University, and presently working as editor, Sulabh India, a host of retired as well as working teachers sitting in the hall. My mentor, Shri Arjun Prasad Singh Ji, dear students, friends from the print and electronic media, brothers and sisters. Today we are observing the 16th Punya Tithi of Dr. R.K. Sinha. He was the head of the Department of English, Patna University for about 28 years. He joined Patna College as a lecturer in 1938 and went to Oxford University for his research work. He completed his thesis entitled Literary Influences on D.H. Lawrence under the supervision of Lord David Cecil in 1949. Friends, Dr. R.K. Sinha was the first scholar in the world to work on D.H. Lawrence. Had his thesis been published in the year 1949, that would have been the first work on D.H. Lawrence. But at that time, the thesis could not be published, and in 1951, F.R. Lewis's book, Lawrence the Novelist, was published, and that is considered among the scholars as the first research work on D.H. Lawrence, but the reality is something else. Dr. Sinha came back to Patna University in 1950. He was popular among his students as well as teachers as RKS, the initial names, Radha Krishna Sinha, and Lord Sinha, Radha Babu, Sinha Sahab, etc. and etc. He was a teacher par excellence. Those who have attended his class still remember his style of teaching and power of oration. He became a legend during his lifetime. I believe that in this conference hall, many of his students are sitting over here. And they were privileged to have been Dr. Sinha's direct students in the classroom. Still, they remember the style in which Dr. Sinha used to talk. Time didn't matter at that time. Today, we are focusing upon management of time as to how many hours a teacher should spend in the campus. But when Dr. Sinha engaged his classes, he forgot the concept of time. His students also forgot the concept of time. So mesmerizing was his lecture that it continued more than 3 hours at a stretch. Friends, Dr. R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee, the patron of which is Padma Bhushan Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, has already published a voluminous commemorative volume on Dr. R.K. Sinha in 2006. We plan to establish Dr. R.K. Sinha Chair in the Department of English, Patna University, so that we can preserve the memory of the great teacher. Dr. R.C. Prasad Memorial Committee is also the other committee under the patronship of Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. That committee has also brought out a Gedenkschrift for Dr. Ramchandra Prasad, who was a worthy student of Dr. R.K. Sinha. And that book has been published by Motilal Banarsi Das. Today we are going to release this book. So to mark the memory of literary Dr. R.C. Prasad, the book that has been published is entitled Literary Waves. And I think it would be a dedication from a student to a great teacher. Because a teacher is always happy when he sees his students prospering day by day. Dr. Sinha was very proud of Dr. Ramchandra Prasad. So the release of the book on this occasion will be a tribute not only to Dr. R.C. Prasad but also to the late Dr. R.K. Sinha. And then one research journal is published under the patronship of Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. From 2014 we have been publishing it biannually, but due to certain practical reasons we have now made it annual, and this approaches is a platform to the teachers as well as the scholars to give expression to their critical thoughts freely. We publish their articles free of cost, and Dr. Pathak assists us financially, and that journal is also going to be released today. Friends, I feel privileged to announce that Dr. D.P. Vidyarthi Memorial Committee has also been constituted under the patronship of Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. We have been collecting research articles for a long time to mark the memory of that great teacher, Dr. D.P. Vidyarthi. About 20 articles have already been collected. Some of the scholars have also assured me that they would be submitting their articles by the end of September. I request you all who are present here to write research articles. Friends, these are the activities of Dr. R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee and the Department of English, and we hope we will perform, and we are committed to perform if we are given facilities for performance. I express my humble gratitude and indebtedness to Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, who not only provides us financial support but also guides us like the evening star. Whenever we forget our days for some time being, it is like the evening star that he guides us. On this occasion, I welcome our patron, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the guests of honor, Dr. J.P. Singh and Dr. Avdesh Kumar Sharma, and the speakers, Dr. Damodar Thakur and Dr. Sanjay Datta Rai. Friends, I hope the topic that is for you, Ancient India's Search for Identity and for its suitable language, you will be taken back to the past glory of our country. And then Dr. Sanjay Datta Rai will also express his ideas about Dr. R.K. Sinha and about the importance of the stories on which Dr. Sinha worked. So with these words, I welcome all of you. Thank you very much.
Now I request the dignitaries on dais to offer floral tribute to the late Dr. R.K. Sinha.
सर एक बार लेफ्ट टू राइट
होंगे डॉक्टर रोय
सर एक बार प्लीज
कुमार झा
सामने देखिएगा सर एक बार सामने देखिएगा
डॉक्टर सुरेश चंद्र श्रीवास्तव
जरा इधर देखो इधर देखो
अर्जुन बाबू
सर एक बार सामने थैंक यू सर एक बार सामने देखिएगा सर नहीं
for this program, Professor
हाँ सर
Professor of Department of English.
मैडम सामने हाँ सामने देखिए यार
English Patna University. Retired Professor of English, T.M. Bhagalpur University, and presently editor Sulabh India, to enlighten us on the scholarly life of late Dr. R.K. Sinha.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Shankar Ashish Dutt, Chief guest on the occasion, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, Vice Chancellor, Patna University, Professor Ras Bihari Singh, my revered teacher and mentor, Professor Damodar Thakur, my respected teacher, Professor J.P. Singh, Professor Dutt, my distinguished teacher, Professor A.K. Sinha, my elder brother, Professor C.P.N. Sinha, Arjun Babu, my friends, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to speak about my mentor, my revered teacher, my guru, Professor Sinha, I am reminded of the title of one of the volumes of Bachchan's autobiography, Kya Bhoolun, Kya Yaad Karun. Every day I remember him. But I would like to first express my gratitude and gratitude on behalf of all the students of Professor Sinha and Professor Prasad also now. Those students who are sitting here, those who are not sitting here, those who are alive, those who are dead, to Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak for immortalizing the memory of these two legendary teachers of our time. I think and pray you should be receiving their blessings along with the blessings of God throughout your life in all your endeavors. Before I speak about his life, I would like to narrate his message to all the teachers. And one of the incidents of his life, these two I was reminded of only this morning when I came across a news item in the newspaper today about UGC formulating certain rules related to university teachers, asking them to read and not to give tuition. You know, it was in late 70s when Professor R.K. Sinha was invited to address teachers and students in the BN college by the then principal of that college, Bose Sahib, S.K. Bose. I happened to be there, so he asked me to accompany him, and I sat there in the audience. I remember everything, but one thing that I would like to mention this morning is, he said, addressing to teachers, it is the singular prerogative of the teachers to be paid for a lifetime to keep reading, to keep studying while society pays you throughout your life. And this is for all the teachers to remember. The second thing regarding tuition, you know, one day, after 2 years of my joining in Bhagalpur University, he asked me a question. Do you give tuition also? I said, no, sir. But and he mentioned a teacher, it's not necessary to name him, but he had been giving tuition all his life, and that's why he didn't do anything in his life. He was a brilliant student. I said, yes, sir. Then he said, do you know, when I was very young, 3 students started nagging me to give them tuition. And he named one of, I remember one name, many of you might be knowing, he is no more, Siddhi Babu, who was an advocate, a very senior advocate in the Patna High Court. So he was one of those 3 students. He said, I refused. And then they approached someone who approached me, and again I refused. And then they approached someone else who also approached me, and I couldn't say no. And then I asked them to come at 4 o'clock, appointed a date and time. And do you know, since morning itself, what kept haunting my mind, those three will come at 4 o'clock. Now it was 12 o'clock, and again they will come at 4 o'clock. Now it was 2 o'clock, and again they will come at 4 o'clock. And do you know, at 3 o'clock, I left my house, telling my family members, when they asked, tell them I'm not here. And they came and went back. Next day again, they met him on the campus, said, सर कल तो आप कहीं चले गए थे, आज हम लोग फिर आएंगे. Said okay. And at 3 o'clock again he left. After that, they again had to come at 4 o'clock, and he said, I don't want to speak lies, but you know, there is no way out. So he was at home, and he asked someone to say to them, tell them I'm not well. And they again left, and the fourth day they met him on the campus, and they came to him laughing and said, sir, now we have understood. Now we won't nag you anymore. And that's how he got rid of tuition. So tuition is not a must. And I didn't give tuition, and I lived comfortably. So if you decide to live with what you get, that's more than enough. And give tuition in the classroom, give tuition on the campus, treat every class as a coaching class. And I don't think students would ever need to get any tuition. You know, Professor Sinha, as he once described it to me, when he had come, that was in 1930 or 31, his manager had come, accompanied him to Patna. He had passed his matriculation, and he had come here to study science. So straight away he was taken to the science college, but it was early and the office was closed. And after 5-10 minutes, he told his manager, let us go to another college. Then he said, medical college? Yes. So from science college, he went to medical college. And there, while passing through the morgue, he had some bad smell. And he told his, jamindars used to have burials. That was the technical term. So he told his manager, I can't study here. There is so much of foul smell. Let us go to another college. And then he went to Patna College, where the office was open because now it was time, and there was no foul smell. So he took admission in Patna College. Dr. Pathak always speaks about luck, always speaks about chance. It was our luck. It was a sheer chance that the student who had come to join science college had gone to join medical college, ultimately came to Patna College, and in due course became our teacher and illumined so many of us. God is great. After completing his MA, he joined Patna University, and he was the most popular teacher in the department. You can read Dr. Mangal Murthy's blog where he has written these things also, some of these things, not everything. And students was free with him, and he used to talk to him about teachers also. This teacher speaks for 50 minutes and he doesn't say anything. So he mentioned this to that teacher, students say this about you. And laughingly he said, oh, they understand that. He went to England, did his PhD on D.H. Lawrence. Everybody will speak on that, so I don't touch upon that. But his supervisor, Lord David Cecil, in one of his meetings, mentioned Henry James. So on way back to his residence, he went to the bookshop, bought as many books of Henry James as were available, asking to bring the remaining ones, and put Lawrence aside and studied all the books of Henry James and was quite influenced. And then he wrote his thesis, completed that, came back to India. He was not the head of the department immediately on his return, but he asked the head of the department to introduce Henry James in the MA syllabus, and Henry James was introduced. You know, he was a man of pure literature, remember. And up to the 60s, there was, and I'm using this word deliberately, there was animosity between literature and linguistics. And you know, our teachers are sitting here. Ask them, did they ever like to teach grammar? No, because teaching grammar, teaching structures, that was demeaning. I should teach poetry. Professor William Stannard Allen's book, Living English Structure, was published in 1947, which he came across in London. On his return, he got that book introduced to the Patna University syllabus. In 1954, his another book, Living English Speech, got out, and in 56, when the copies of the book were available in the market, he introduced that to Patna University syllabus. In no other university in India, these two books were prescribed at that time. And that's how he brought English department out of Victorian age into the modern age. The credit of modernizing English department, not only in Patna University, but in the whole of North India and those South Indian professors who came in contact with him in their universities also. You know, in the 60s, as I told you, he was the first to get linguistics introduced to the department in Patna University. No, in no university English department linguistics was taught. He was the expert when Professor Sarup Singh was appointed professor in Delhi University. He told me, and this was told to me by Professor Sarup Singh also, when I met him in an interview. You come from Patna University? I said, yes. Professor R.K. Sinha was your teacher? I said, yes. Do you know, he appointed me professor in Delhi University. And do you know, he rejected Professor S.K. Kumar, C.U.K. Kumar in BHU. This was reported to me by Professor Sarup Singh, who later became the governor of Gujarat or Rajasthan. Yeah. But then the chairman of the board was Professor Dhan, who, because it was for Nehru, and he happened to be the vice chancellor, and he wanted to give me, I don't know why, some pinpricks. So he said, Professor Singh, he teaches linguistics. And listening to the word linguistics, he said, what? You teach linguistics? Why do you teach linguistics? I said, it gives us a better understanding of literature. He said, do you mean to say that I haven't studied linguistics and therefore I have not better understanding of literature? I said, oh, Pathak. Then I said, yours is a different case, sir. And he said, yes, mine is a different case. Okay, go ahead. So this was the animosity, not only in England, in India also, between literature and linguistics. And at that, whenever he came from some interviews in the BPSC, he would ask me, and would ask Professor Tiwari, what is this fricative? A student came for the interview, and whenever I asked any question, he mentioned, fricatives? Fricatives? What are fricatives? What are affricates? No? So he had no interest, but he knew. And it is said that a teacher must have future in his bones, and he had future in his bones, because you are teaching students not those who are useful for today, but who shall be useful for 40, and now when the age of retirement is 65, some of them maybe for 45 years. So you are creating the generations for the future, and he knew what the future will be like. So he was a visionary. He revolutionized the department. I saw whenever a teacher used to come, many of those sitting here included, sir, I want to take a class in the PG department. What would you like to teach? This author. What have you read on that author? Have you read all his books? Sir, these I haven't. Read those first. What critical books have you read on that author? Say, he named 3, and then he would add 3, 4 more. Read these also, and from next session you will take a class on this. That's how he inspired students, that's how he inspired teachers. How I came in contact with him. You know, when I did my MA, I started working on my research project and prepared it under the supervision of Professor K.M. Tiwari. When it was ready, he asked me to go and show it to Professor Sinha. And you know, whenever I passed by that gate, I mean, thinking Professor Sinha lives here, I used to shiver. That was the awe, I won't call it fear, awe that his name would inspire. And then come back to me. If he would have asked me not to come back to him, then it seems I wouldn't have gone to him. But since I had to report to Professor Tiwari, so I went to him. And I came from a village. I didn't know what is the proper time to visit a person. So I went there at 1:30, and that was summer. And there was nobody outside. Sanjay sitting behind you was a small kid. And I stood there in the portico for nearly 4 hours or so. And it was good luck for me that usually he had a pig done by his bedside, but at that time he came out to throw it, and he looked at me, "Kya hai?" And I went and told him that Professor Tiwari had asked me to say, "This year you passed MA?" I said, "Yes." "Okay. Come tomorrow." And then I went tomorrow. After standing in the portico for half an hour, because that day I went late, Manjudi came out, "Kisse milna hai?" I said, "Sir se." And I went in. Okay. And I stood there for 4 hours. He asked, "Where do you live in Patna?" And I told him, "In Musallapur." "Okay, come tomorrow." And this continued for 5-6 days, and it seems that was his way to test people. And then once he was not well, not keeping good health, Sanjay, Manjudi and others had gone to Hazaribagh. So he asked me to stay with him until they come back. And at that time, I stayed with him for 1 full month. Every night he would ask me, "Go to that bookshelf. You see that red book? Yes, take that out, read." And that's how he would ask me to read every day. In the meantime, I got an appointment letter from Ghazipur Postgraduate College. And he said, "Okay, go. But on your way, come here, take your dinner here, and then go." He went there. You know, Mataji didn't come to his room at that time, but that day she came. And she saw my bag and asked me, "Kahin jai tha ka bahua?" And I explained that to her. And then she asked him, "Tab to apne akele ho jaye?" And I saw some kind of, what should I say, a gloom on his face. And inadvertently it came out of my mouth, "Sir, aap kahen to main nahi jaunga." And suddenly there was a glow, and he said, "Kahan UP TUP jaoge? Tumko Bihar mein naukariye nahi milegi." And I got a job here. On the day I was going, he asked me, but, I mean, if you allow me, but we are running short of time, I can speak until evening and still it would be incomplete. Just one thing and the rest next year. "How many shirts do you have?" I said, 3. "And pants?" I said, 3. And coat? I said, I don't have any coat. I have a half sweater and I have a full sweater. And you know, my first appointment was in the women's college at Bhagalpur. He said, but you know, for teachers, dress is not important, I know, but it is also a factor. Okay, Manju, that coat, which was a little oversized to me, volato, and that coat came and I tried. It was nearly all right. Okay, carry this. Manju, that t-shirt which I bought at Oxford but never put on, and that came, and that he also gave me. And that tie, which when Ramchandar came back from England, brought for me, I never tied that, and he gave that me. Tie bandhne aata hai? I said, no, sir. Okay, go to Bhagalpur, tell Ramchandar that she should teach you to read and teach, and he should also teach you how to knot a tie. Thank you very much.
To invite Professor Rash Bihari Prasad Singh, Vice Chancellor of Patna University. He has been an excellent professor of geography and head of Department of Geography at Patna University.
Chief guest of today's R.K. Sinha Memorial Lecture Function, Patna Bhushan Sri Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak ji, who also happens to be an alumnus of Patna University, and the key speakers are Dr. Damodar Thakur, former chairman, Faculty of Humanities, Sana University, Sana, Yemen. I'm not sure whether you are Sir Patna University alumnus or not. And Dr. Sanjay Datta Rai, Professor of English, Allahabad University. Today's guest of honor, Dr. J.P. Singh, who was a teacher of Patna University, my teacher also, and former Vice Chancellor, Ellen Mitla University, Dr. Avdesh Kumar Sharma ji, who has just given a glimpse over the profile of the profile of Dr. R.K. Sinha, today's chairman or chairperson, Dr. Shankar Ashish Dutt, professor and head of geography, Patna University. Many senior or superannuated teachers are here, present teachers, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, media persons, friends. At the very outset, I express my sincere thanks to the R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee, who provided me this privilege to be here and to inaugurate this great function. But at the same time, I shall also express my thanks to them for remembering a teacher who was par excellence, outstanding. Friends, nowadays it has become a rare thing, becoming rare. Teachers, once superannuated, the culture is emerging, would hardly be remembered by the departments, even the students. And those who departed forever, and sir, you people or the Department of English, Patna University, remembers him, and every year memorial lecture you organize, it is not a small thing, and I congratulate you for keeping it, and I hope you will continue. Samir Sharma ji was talking of the R.K. Sinha Memorial Chair or the professorship in Patna University. I assure you, sir, you initiate this because persons like R.K. Sinha must be remembered and there must be a chair on his name. We in Patna University have established recently on the name of Ambedkar, Jagjivan Ram. Recently a resolution was sent on some other person. In Urdu also a proposal has come. I have sent to UGC. So I am telling Shankarji and Samirji both, you through the departmental council properly give the proposals and that could be implemented either with the help of UGC or even his own students or alumni of Patna University, even some corporate sector, some social organization can initiate and can provide the fund, and there must be, it will be the best tribute to Dr. R.K. Sinha if you establish a chair in Patna University. And I assure you all, sir, from my parts, I am always ready to provide you all kinds of aid, whatever is possible from my chair or from my office. I'd be the happiest person if it is materialized during my tenure. So this is a very good move, Samirji. I would advise you to move forward with this idea and must be implemented. Friends, I was not a student of Professor R.K. Sinha, but in 1967, when I came in Patna College, immediately coming to the college and injection into hostel, we could come to know only about a few teachers, and R.K. Sinha's name was the first. So we intend to see just a glimpse of R.K. Sinha. Couldn't attend the class. In English, he had not taken our classes, but that was his personality within the campus. P. Dayal in geography, R.K. Sinha, persons like in English, everywhere within the campus, or students across the department college were knowing and have a kind of fear, cannot face, but respect I cannot express. Such was this respect. You cannot escape it. I became teacher in Patna University in 1976 January. That time also he was the teacher. So I was his student. I also became colleague. And for I think 1978 he departed forever till that. Sometimes we used to pronounce that's okay, nothing more. So R.K. Sinha's contribution, not simply as a teacher of English, a scholar of English, a researcher of English, but as a teacher beyond the English for all who were in the campus, whether student of geography, history, any departments, everyone would respect it. That is a rare thing. And that was the commanding personality of Dr. R.K. Sinha. That's why everyone used to give respect to him. So I still remember when he retired, it was a matter of talk. When he departed forever, again I was teacher in Patna University. So a kind of void was created. No one can replace even at present. That was his personality. Friends, today there are two speakers. They will speak on topics: ancient India's search for anti and for its suitable language, and the other talk will be on pedagogy of stories to knowledge and wisdom journeys. And so I hope they will deliver a lot for all of us, we shall be benefited. And with these words, I again express my sincere thanks to the organizers, and whatever you are doing, basically you are honoring Patna University. So I told Shankar Ashish that why here, why not in the Wheeler Senate House? So again I am telling you, next year when you organize this, but if you rise within the campus, I would be the happiest person. I have quite all kinds of help. So I also love to be coming here in NC9, so no hatred from this hall. But since it is on Dr. R.K. Sinha, the befitting tribute would be if, sir, next year the same be organized in the Wheeler Senate Hall. I on Patna invite you all, including Bindeshwar and all others. Pathak, you all come, sir, on that occasion in Patna University with these thanks.
Now I request Dr. Damodar Thakur on the dais. He is a renowned linguist and has taught English in the different universities of India and Yemen for more than 60 years. He has written books on morphology, syntax, phonology, phonetics, and the history of English. He has also written commentary on the Bhagavad Gita in English in the book entitled The Bhagavad Gita Songs Extraordinary. His recently published book is The Grandeur of the Vedanta.
Professor Shankara Ashish Datta, the president of this meeting, Reverend Pathak ji, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Janardan Babu, Abdesh ji, people sitting in the audience, and the students, other than the topic. I think the best way in which you can pay compliments to an achiever like you. I always told my students, if you want to pay compliments to me, organize yourself in such a way that I can feel proud of you. The real compliment to Dr. Sinha will be to make him proud wherever he is in heaven by our scholarship, by our researches, by the excellence of our teaching. These words of compliments are not really that much of use. Dr. Sinha is waiting in heaven. History is waiting for someone, for many people, for as many people as possible to have that kind of scholarship, and that would be the real compliment to him. That would be the real memorial. Someone asked me, what is the condition of the teaching of English in India, in Bihar in particular? I said, मेरी तिजारत का कुछ न पूछिए, मेरी तिजारत का कुछ न पूछिए, आईना बेचता हूँ अंधों के शहर में। कब तक आईना हम लोग अंधों के शहर में बेचते रहेंगे? डॉक्टर सिन्हा को कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स पे कीजिए. Try to have the kind of achievement that he represented. Now, about the topic. I first of all show my gratitude to the department for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on this topic by way of my compliments to Dr. Sinha. The topic, as you know, is ancient India's search for identity and for its suitable language. Search for identity. You might wonder, what is this search for identity? The search for identity is who we really are. There was a time when I was a small boy. I was a student. I became married. I became a father. I am a brother. I became a teacher. I am lecturing to you. Are these my identities? No. There is something in me, that me which never changed. What is that me? What is that me in all of you? You see, I will start with mentioning to you a legend in the life of Lord Buddha. Angulimal, you might have heard of him. Angulimal was a big murderer, Don in the language today. He wanted to have a garland of 1,000 fingers. He killed a person, cut one of his fingers, and made a kind of pearl in his garland. Now, when Lord Buddha heard of him, he wanted to meet him. And when he was going ahead, Angulimal said, "Hey, stop!" And Buddha said, "I stopped a long time ago, now it's for you to stop." And then he said, "What kind of mad person is he? Who are you?" He said, "I am the same as you are." And when Angulimal said, "I am the same as you are," he thought, maybe he will have another accomplished. He will have someone to support him in his job of killing people. And then this was the starting point. The point was, I know who you are. Buddha knew who he was. Buddha was a prince. He became a monk. That was not him. Another small story. There was a saint called Eknath in Maharashtra. Once he was passing by, some people were beating a person. He said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you beating him?" They said, "He borrowed money and never returned it to us." So he said, "Okay, I don't have the money, so I cannot pay the money to you. Start beating me instead of him." He said, "What kind of person are you? Who are you? And how is he related to you?" He said, "I am the same person as he is. I am the same person as you are. We are essentially the same. Our names are different. Our faces are different. We look different. But we are all essentially the manifestation of the same spirit. We are all the same." This is a question of identity. Our ancient seers wanted to find out who the human beings really were. They were saying human beings are human beings, but that's not enough. Who are we? What are we really? Now, before I try to share with you my understanding of what these sages and seers in ancient India thought about the real human identity, I will tell you something about what the people in the West during the last few hundred years have told us about our identity. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Among the Devarshis I am Narada, among the Maharshis I am Bhrigu, among the Siddhas I am Kapil." Now Kapil, Bhrigu and Narad were the three great opinion makers in ancient India, it seems. The three great opinion makers in the world of today during the last 200 years were Darwin, Sigmund Freud, and Karl Marx. They have been telling us time and again, who we really are. What did Darwin tell us? He said, "You are all animals. Your father was an animal. Your ancestors were all animals. Essentially, even now you are animals." So, according to Darwin, this was our identity. We are animals. And you see, there was a time when someone in the United States taught Darwin in his school and he had to pay a fine of $150. Darwin was so much discarded. But Darwin became the greatest intellectual of the age. There were textbooks, there were researches, there were journals, there were books. And everybody started believing that what Darwin said was really right. We are animals. Our fathers were animals. Our ancestors were animals. We are nothing but animals. You see, there was a surrealist painter in America. He said, let us never forget, mark the word, let us never forget that the greatest man is never more than an animal disguised as a God. He said, not only you, the greatest man. For him, Christ was an animal, Buddha was an animal, we are all animals. This was Darwin. And scholars, painters, dancers, filmmakers, textbook writers, teachers, students, researchers, they all started believing in what Darwin had to say. There is Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, man was created a bloody animal. Bloody animal. This was our identity, according to them. Man was created a bloody animal, and I think he will always thirst for blood and will manage to have it. I think he is far and away the worst animal that exists and the only untamable. You are all animals. Bertrand Russell, you know, one of the greatest scholars of the last 100 years, he said, it has been said that man is a rational animal. The emphasis was not on rational, the emphasis was on the word animal. That man is a rational animal. All my life I have been searching for evidence that could support this. Is it rational? No. Man is an animal and nothing more than an animal. Now, this was Darwin. The other person, the other great scholar, well, whether I call him a scholar or not, you see, Karl Marx was certainly a very highly talented person. So was Darwin. And so was Sigmund Freud. What did Karl Marx said about our identity? He said, I quote, the human being is in the most literal sense, not metaphorically speaking, in the most literal sense, a political animal. The emphasis was not on the word political, the emphasis again was on the word animal. Man is an animal. And if you look at some of the politicians these days, you will seem to agree that perhaps he was right. Man is a political animal. Sigmund Freud, again, a great scholar. Certainly a highly talented person. He came with his discovery on sex. And what he said was, man was nothing but a demon starving for sex. Sex was for him the greatest reality. And we were nothing. The human generation is nothing. It's the generation of sexualists. This is not me. I have quotations here. And can you believe it? Now, Sigmund Freud became part of textbooks, part of PhD researches, part of DLit, part of PhD. And Sigmund Freud again became part of the thinking of the common man. And look at the quotation that I am giving it. Here is someone in America saying, the more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. If you are look perfect, you are a greater demon. And look at this. Someone said, sex is the best high. It is better than any drug. Mark these words, I want to die making love because it feels so good. This was Sigmund Freud. And this is they rubbed it in all of us. You are a sexualist, you are an animal, you are an animal. You may not agree with me. Heinous crimes being committed in India and in the rest of the world are probably a result of this. You will say, people haven't even heard the name of Sigmund Freud. They haven't heard the name of Karl Marx. They haven't heard the name of Darwin. How can you say that the crimes they committed is the outcome of what these scholars say? You see, the mills in Kanpur emit carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. People all around, farmers who don't know what carbon monoxide is, what carbon dioxide is, they get polluted. Now this is what has happened. People have started realizing in the inner core of their mentality, we are animals. And if we are animals, what's wrong in our doing this? Now this is what the three eminent opinion makers during the last few hundred years have made us believe we are animals. That's our identity. But my job is not to tell you what Karl Marx or Darwin or Freud had to say. My job is to draw your attention to what the ancient sages and seers said about our identity. They said, this is what the Upanishads say, I am a spark of divinity, I am not an animal. I am Brahmasmi, I am Brahma. I am a spark of divinity. I am divinity embodied. And there is a very good verse in the Gita which says, just as fire is covered with smoke, just as a mirror is covered with dust, just as in the womb of a mother the fetus is covered by a jelly-like substance, that spark of divinity in us is surrounded by a veil of ignorance. And all that we have, if you want to find out our real identity, if you want to find out who we really are, remove that veil of ignorance. Kabir Das said, "Gungat ke pat khol re, tohe piya milenge." Gungat ke pat. Now the point is, when our seer said, I am Brahmasmi, I am a spark of divinity. I am not an animal. Animality may be an outer cover, outer appearance. But I am divine. I am the same as you. I am the same as everyone else. Now this is very important. Now Hitler, for example, felt that he belonged to a superior race and the others were not. And that's why he killed the Jews. The white people believe that the brown and the black people are inferior to them. Our sages and seers not only said, I am Brahmasmi, they said, Tattvamasi, you are also the same. I am a spark of divinity and so are you. I and you. Once I said, science is a discussion of nouns. Spirituality is a discussion of pronouns. I, you. Who am I? Who are you? And who are the others? So first of all they said, I am Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, I am Brahma, you are also Brahma, and we are all, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everyone else is the same spark of divinity. We are not different. There is no Dalit, there is no Brahman, there is no man, there is no woman. These are appearances. Inside these appearances, we are all the same. We are all the same. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Tattvamasi. You are also the same. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. We are all, everyone, not only I and you, the others as well, are the same spark of divinity. And there is a line in the Veda which says, Srinavantu Vishwe, not only Indians. Listen to me, Srinavantu Vishwe, Amritasya Putra, Amritasya Putra, Amritasya Putra. You are all sons of immortality. That's what you are. That's your real identity. Amritasya Putra. Now, when they said man is a spark of divinity, man is essentially divine, he may behave like an animal, but that's because of the outer crust of ignorance. This inner spark has certain characteristics. The first important characteristic is, do you know, in the Indian tradition they always talk of these two words, Atma and Brahma. As a linguist, I've tried to understand these two words. The word Atma is from the root At, which means steadily to go ahead. And the word Brahma is from the root Bri, which means steadily keep on expanding yourself. And the Vedas says, Charaiveti, Charaiveti, keep on growing, keep on advancing, keep on marching ahead. That's what you are, that's what your nature is. The nature of water is to go down. You can make water go up by artificial means. But the inherent nature of water is to go down. The inherent nature of the spark within us is to go ahead, to march ahead, not to go back, not to go down. And there is a very important verse in the Atharva Veda which says, Arohana Akramana Jivato Jivato Ayana. That's your characteristic, he said. You are meant for these two things. One is Arohana, that is developing yourself, developing yourself. Keep on. What did Dr. Sinha do? He developed himself, he developed himself. And there came a point of a height which became admirable. That's the craving, that's the craze, that's the instinctual need in all of us. We all want to be attainers, we all want to be winners, we all want to be achievers, we all want to be accomplishers. But the outer cover sometimes makes us go down. Instead of going forward, instead of going up, it makes us going backward, it makes us going downward. In the Gita there is a beautiful verse, all verses of course are beautiful, but the verse that I want to draw your attention to is this. They said, there are three kinds of personalities. Eisen spoke of two kinds of personalities, extrovert and introvert. They spoke of three kinds. They said Sattvic. A Sattvic is a person who always goes ahead, always marches ahead, is always improving. A Rajasi is a person who keeps going around. आप तो प्रोफेसर हो गए, क्या कीजिएगा, गाड़ी कीजिए, शादी कीजिए, मकान बनाइए, की प्रॉब्लम. And a Tamasi is a person who keeps going down, going backward. And what these seers said, it's your nature, you are cut out to be this, you are meant to be this. This is your defining characteristic, to be going up, up and up. If you go down, if you act devilish, if you become a demon, this is against your essential inner nature. Now this was one, Arohan, keep going up. And there is another one, Akraman. Akraman. Now Akraman means attack. Some people will say, what kind of attack is this? Indians never attacked anyone. You know, in the story of Rama, for example, he attacked Lanka and then did not make Lanka part of his territory. He gave it to Vibhishan. He killed Bali and he could have made his kingdom one of his colonies, but he gave it to Sugriv. So, we were never attackers. So people say, what kind of word is this, Akraman? They say, Akraman is your defining feature. It's your essential nature. And what does it mean? Yes, it has a beautiful meaning. And this meaning has something to do with Dr. Sinha here. Akraman. What is research? Research is a raid. It's an attack on the territory of the unknown. The territory of the unknown is much vaster, much larger, infinitely larger. The territory of ignorance, the territory of unknown. The territory of what we know is comparatively very small. This is what you are cut out to be. This is what you are meant to be. This is your essential nature. Keep attacking on the area of ignorance. Try to make a bit of the area of ignorance, the area of the unknown, part of the known. Attack us and said, if you are going up and up, and if you are always achieving something by trying to act, and they say, research is a raid on the inarticulate. Research is a raid on the territory of ignorance. Research is an attack on the territory of the unknown. If you keep on doing this, as Dr. Sinha did, you have really known your identity. You have really found out who essentially, truly you are. Arohan, Akraman. This is what our seer said. These are your two defining, yours, mine, everybody's. These are the two defining features of the human identity. This is our identity. The topic was ancient India's search for identity. And these people said, your identity is not what Karl Marx has said, a political animal. Your identity is not what Sigmund Freud has said, a sexualist. Your identity is not what Darwin had said, an animal, basically. You are not an animal. You are a spark of divine. Amritasya Putra, you are the sons and daughters of immortality. Now, this is the first part of my topic, search for identity. हमारी पहचान क्या है? हम कौन हैं? हम क्या हैं? Now, once they realized who they really were, they were on the lookout for a suitable type of language. By language here I mean not Sanskrit or Hindi or English. A suitable language variety. You see, the language they needed for describing, you see, there is a difference between Greek scholarship and ancient Greek scholarship and ancient Indian scholarship. The Greeks, you know, they had a court, law court, in which 120 or so many members sat. They were all judges. And people who were guilty had to present their case before that court, or any one of their friends or relatives had to do that. And for them, the important thing was clarity. speak so clearly and so emphatically that the judges can be influenced. Clarity, emphasis. Our commitments were different. For our rishis, the important thing was to describe the ultimate reality. Where have we come from? Where did we start? How did the creation begin? They didn't have to define or devise a language variety. It had to be a negative language, language of negativity. You know, I'm told that someone from Bihar went as a laborer to the hills in the Himalayan region, and there he found a strange fruit. And when they came back, his people asked him, what was that fruit like? Was it like a mango? No. Was it like lychee? No. Was it like an orange? No. Because the fruit was not like anything that he knew before. That's the proper thing. That indescribable reality is not like anything of our common experience. So, what they decided was that they had to be a language of negativity. And I don't have much time, but they had expressions like, in Mandukya Upanishad, for example, that reality is birthless, sleepless, dreamless, nameless, formless. But the Indian sages formulated a language of contradictions for describing that reality. And if you listen to me carefully, I will give you some examples. You know, in the Rig Veda, there is a description of the beginning of creation. And they said, in the beginning, there was nothing. Well, say, what kind of nothing? This is simple. In the beginning, there was nothing, not even nothingness. Not even nothingness. And there is a philosophical principle in India called Shatabad. Look at the words. In that they say, he is, full stop, one sentence. He is, second sentence, he is not. He is, first sentence. He is not, second sentence. The third sentence, he both is and he both is not. What kind of language is this? You keep on contradicting yourself. But this language of contradiction they devised as the best suitable stylistic trait for describing that reality. The language of negativity and the language of contradiction. And then they had the language of difference. See, some of our gods have 100 hands, 3 eyes. The sun and the moon are their eyes, and so on. Sita came out of the soil when his father was tilling the land, plowing the land. These are languages of exuberance. How can a girl come out of the earth? How can someone have 100 hands? And in the Gita, in the 10th, 11th chapter, you have the description of Krishna as a terribly large entity. Now, the language of exuberance, this was essential again for describing that reality. But for dealing with common people, because they knew that whoever they were dealing with, essentially the divine spirit as they are. So they said, we have to use a very sweet language. They said, Vacha vadami madhumat. Always try to be sweet in your conversation. There is a beautiful verse which says, Jiva agre madhu, jiva mule madhunakam. Let there be honey at the back of your tongue. Let there be honey at the front of your tongue. Let all your speeches be really sweet. Now, Katuk bachan mat bol re, because we and I, we are all the same divine spirit. Why become rude? Who are you going to be rude to? Now, sweetness was an essential characteristic of the language they thought appropriate for conversation, because they knew that there was no Sudra, there was no Brahmin, there was no black, there was no white. We are all essentially the same divine spirit. We are all the same. We are all brothers. We are all the children of immortality. So why use a rude language? Be sweet to each other. Now, sweetness is not only a matter of vocabulary. I will give you an example. You can say to someone, type this paper now. Will you type this paper now? It becomes sweet. Do this for me now. Could you do this for me now? The same thing can be said with a tone of sweetness around it. And our ancestors said, be sweet in your conversation with everyone else, because that everyone else is the same as you are. There is no student, there is no teacher, there is no man, there is no woman, there is no old, there is no young, there is no Sudra, there is no Brahmin. We are all essentially the same spark of divinity. So be cordial and sweet in your language to each other. Now we can go on about the other characteristics of the language as they considered appropriate. But the time is limited. I would just mention one or two. They said not only sweet, Kalyanim, Vacham Kalyanim. Don't speak in such a way that people can be enraged, so that people can divide themselves into bits and groups, so that people can start quarreling. Kalyanim. Your language should be Vacham Kalyanim. And that was not enough. They always said, Bhargaswati Vacham. Being sweet is not enough. Let there be some elegance in your language. Elegance. So our language should be sweet, our language should be elegant, and if you have listened to Dr. Sinha speaking, you could remember how elegant his language was. So, there are other people to speak. The best way one of the best ways of paying compliment to Dr. Sinha will be to realize what our ancestors, what our sages and seers thought about who we were, and keep ourselves from the polluting influence of the three opinion makers of the last few centuries I have mentioned. You see, they say that we are putting lots of garbage in our rivers. We are putting a lot of garbage in the sea, but we don't realize how much of garbage is being put inside the sea of our collective unconscious. Our collective unconscious has been constantly polluted, and there is need now for depolluting our consciousness. Pathak is doing great work for cleanliness. But Pathak, a person like me, thinks, and I think I'm right, that mental cleanliness is the real source. Until there is mental cleanliness, outer cleanliness will remain only a slogan. What I am doing is this, you see, doing something by way of adding to whatever cleanliness, mental cleanliness there is left in us. There is a story. Once a forest caught fire. And when the forest caught fire, a pigeon took took a few drops of, it has small beaks, so took a few drops of water from the lake and put it on the water by way of quenching the fire. Someone said, hey, pigeon, forest is on fire, and with the small beaks, what are you going to do? The pigeon said, when the history is written of forest fires, it will be known that there are people who wanted to burn the forest, and there were birds like me who wanted to do away with that fire. So Pathak ji is doing great, great work, but with my limited means and in my small capacity, I am doing the work of that pigeon, trying to remind you of your ancient heritage, trying to remind you that your conscience, your collective unconscious is being polluted. Let's depollute our consciousness. And the best ways, one of the best ways of depolluting our consciousness is to remind us who we are, what our ancestors had to say about us, what is our real identity, हम कौन हैं, हम क्या हैं. There are other people to speak, so I don't want to take a long time. Thank you for listening to me patiently.
Now I request the chief guest of this occasion, Chief of Sanitation, Environment, Education and for providing better life to the widows of Vrindavan, unparalleled social reformer, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak.
Dr. Damodar Thakur, Dr. Sanjay Dutt Roy, Dr. J.P. Singh, Dr. Avdesh Kumar Sharma, Dr. Shankar Asidatta, Dr. Ashok Kumar Sinha, Dr. Bhagwan Singh, Dr. Ashok Kumar Jha, Honorable Sri Arif Singh Ji, Sri D.N. Tiwari Ji, Dr. Shankar Sinha Ji, अर्जुन बाबू को तो आज हम कहते हैं प्रोफेसर अर्जुन प्रसाद सिंह जी. He has produced many professors. And Sri Dr. Shankar Kumar, Samir Kumar Sharma ji, Bharat Singh ji. Now there are many names I am forgetting, so please forgive me, sorry. And distinguished participants to participate in this function to pay respect and tribute to Dr. R.K. Sinha, who was a legendary person in his honest period of life, and we are gathered here to remember him for his contribution, especially in English literature. And he produced many professors, those who are sitting here, who are not present. So that way, and many things have been said about him. So I would like to repeat those things. Just I have to read some pages and then I have to come to Istanbul. I will come with you. And as you know, I am also a student of BN College, Patna University, and I am alma mater. I graduated from BN College, then did my masters, both in sociology, in English, then PhD and did it all from Patna University. Patna University celebrated its centenary year in 2017, and Dr. R.K. Sinha would have also celebrated his centenary year as he was born in 1917, the year when Patna University was established. To mark the memory of Dr. R. Sinha is a very inspiring occasion. Dr. R. Sinha Memorial Committee and Department of English, Patna University, deserve thanks for organizing lectures in the memory of this great teacher who actively taught for more than 40 years and remained a teacher till last breath of his life. He did not hanker after anything else, and always he became a teacher. I pay my sincere tribute to him and salute him on this occasion. And many things have been said, I don't want to repeat. Just to remember him on his 16th Punya Tithi, although he is not with us physically, it is spiritually, he is with us in our heart and mind. And we remember his peerless qualities as voracious leader, extraordinary teacher, powerful speaker, erudite scholar, untiring researcher, and compassionate human being. We feel highly inspired, and I hope he will continue to inspire the coming generations for years to come. He had such a tremendous capacity of analyzing a text that he put the positive and negative aspects of it before the students. He saw the text in its totality. His popularity can be gauged from the fact that the students and teachers of other departments frequently attended his lectures, which continued for more than 3 hours. The greatest tribute to him would be emulate his style of studying, teaching, and doing research work. Dr. Sinha was taught by 2 British professors in the 1930s, namely Professor Arbour and Professor Hill. He was the topper of his MA batch, was admitted to the DPhil course at Christ Church in Oxford University. His supervisor, Lord David Cecil, was a noted critic and authority on Victorian novels. Dr. Sinha completed his thesis entitled Literary Influences on D.H. Lawrence in 1950. And somebody said 1949. 49. Had his thesis been published, that would have been the first work on Lawrence, and therefore Lewis's work would have been the next. However, in the centenary year of Lawrence, that is in 1985, Dr. Sinha's thesis was published by Chanakya Publication, New Delhi, owned by Dr. Bindeshwar, the first research scholar of Dr. Sinha. Dr. Sinha's work in Lawrence is really praiseworthy, as in the 20th century England had no greater writer than Lawrence to show the world, because Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot were Americans. W.B. Yeats, James Joyce, and G.B. Shaw were Irish. Lawrence's philosophy is both temporal as well as timeless. In Sons and Lovers, he shows how marriage becomes a hopeless failure for want of readjustment of healthy sex. Although the theme of the relation between man and woman is old, yet in the writings of Lawrence it has become new. Lawrence realized that the wrong was with the civilization that put too much value on mind and too little on heart. So he lays overemphasis on blood and flesh. Dickens and Hardy have also put premium on heart, but Lawrence's analysis is much deeper and more frank. The famous lines of Lady Chatterley's lover sums up the whole idea. It is the way our sympathy flows and requires that really determines our lives. The modern novel is predominantly psychological. It was in the early years of the 20th century that Freud and Jung shook the foundation of human thought. They revealed that human consciousness has very deep layers and buried under conscious, subconscious, and the subconscious. Novelists like Henry James, Joseph Conrad, James Joyce, Virginia Woolf have made the English novel completely psychological in nature. Novels of H. Lawrence were The White Peacock, The Sons and Lovers, The Rainbow, The Women in Love, Kangaroo, The Lady Chatterley's Lover, etc. His philosophy, he said, this is on the quote, that my great reason is a belief in the blood, the flesh, as being wiser than intellect. We can go wrong in our minds, but what our blood feels and believes and says is always true. The intellect is only a bit and a brittle. What do I care about knowledge? All I want is to answer to my blood direct without fueling intervention of mind or moral or what not. I conceive a man's body as kind of flame, like a candle, forever upright and yet flowing, and the intellect is just the light that is set is on the things around. Unquote. In Lady Chatterley's Lover, he says, this is unquote, I want men and women to be able to think sex fully, completely, honestly, and clearly. While remembering Dr. Sinha on his 16th Punya Tithi and realizing the importance of Lawrence philosophy, I will make an appeal to the Department of English, Patna University, to organize international seminar on Lawrence and other writers whose philosophy is highly needed by humanity these days. I shall be happier if literary influences on D.H. Lawrence is also published next year on the occasion of Dr. Sinha's 17th Punya Tithi. Dr. K. Sinha Chair should also be established in the Department of English as Honorable Vice Chancellor was saying. We will be happy to help the chair if needed by the university financially. French literature in general and English literature in particular has always been instrumental in reforming and reconstructing society. Starting from Chaucer and Langland through Swift and Dickens down to Goldsworthy and Bernard Shaw, all writers use their writings as a tool for social reconstruction. I am also in my humble way working for social reconstruction, drawing inspiration from my study of literature. For me, is a powerhouse. Literature for me is the powerhouse of diverse sorts of ideas. We can apply these ideas creatively into transforming and reconstructing society based on the principles of equality and liberty as well as empowerment and upward social movement. Let us therefore use our study of literature for enhancing the quality of life of people and making the world more lovely and homogeneous. Today, research journal approaches and a Gadden shift in honor of Dr. R.C. Prasad entitled Literary Waves have been released. The commemorative volume in honor of Dr. R.K. Sinha was published 10 years back. A commemorative volume in honor of Dr. R.P. Vidyarthi is in progress. I hope this will also be published very soon. Dr. Samir Singh Kumar Sharma and Dr. Gunjan, along with other scholars, are endeavoring in this direction. I'm sure their endeavors will bear fruits. Before I conclude, I'd just like to go back on. As depicted in the famous play, The Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw, who transformed the Cockney-speaking flower girl, Elijah, into the high society English lady. It's very important for social reconstruction. And here I come on the subject. Before that, I was engrossed to I was engrossed to hear the lecture of Dr. Damodar Thakur, and I wanted to hear more from him. Certainly we are getting light, and this is very important what he said. Cleanliness outside is important, but more cleanliness needed inside. And it is true. If you are not clean inside, it cannot make difference in the lives of others. You cannot become a change maker. So this is very important that if you are a change maker, you are making difference in the lives of others, it means you have clean mind. Otherwise you cannot work for others. So this is very important what he said. He said many things I cannot repeat here, but certainly very good things he said. Now I come back to just what we did. I have transformed the lives of untouchables. So that is very important. That even Gandhi had not have thought that this may be possible in India. Untouchables who were cleaning own feces. We'll talk about Dickens and later on. So, what I did, first I made invention and discoveries to find out the solution of the problem. Gandhi himself said, till they clean night soil, nobody will have food with them. In 1934, Gandhi asked people to come to have dinner in Bindeshwar. People came, but at the time of dinner they said, Gandhi, I cannot eat with them. So Gandhi has written there that Indians can face the bullets of the British, but unable to eat with untouchables. It is so hard. But Gandhi's sister said, till they clean night soil, nobody will have food with them. And E.M. Forster, in 1935, while writing the preface of a novel by Dr. Mulkraj Anand, he wrote that nobody is required to rescue the untouchables, only the flush toilet. And that is said in 1935. And that the technology I invented in 1968-69. You are all from Bihar, must be knowing. So this is the two-pit toilet. This is to see when one is used at a time, other kept standby, and when one is full, switch over to another one. And the first one, after 2 years, you can take out as a manual or whenever required. So this is a Satsaya ke dore or Nava ke tir, dekhan mein chot lage, ghaw kare gambhir. That Mr. Arif Singh, the retired IAS officer, He was secretary at that time. He's here. So, this is a human skita in my hand. And I smell for you. You can also smell. Human skita cannot be taken in the hand to smell, but it has a different form. So, what was important? Had not I invented this technology, even today, there is no chance of ending the practice of manual cleaning of human feces by untouchables and defecation in the open. But the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, has set the target for 2019. So this technology is changing. Because of this, now the untouchables are not required to clean toilets. The technology of sewer system cannot solve the problems, as the technology is very costly in construction, maintenance. It requires enormous quantity of water to flush, and therefore 2.3 billion people on this planet from Africa, Asia, and Latin America have no toilet inside the house. And last year, I was in America and I was giving a lecture in Chamber of Commerce. And they said, why not do it in America? I said, why in America? America already we have everything. No. We have such system only in urban areas. But in rural, we have septic tanks. We have to clean and we have to spend a lot of money. So this is good technology that human skita is converted into fertilizer. So this can make a difference. This can make change. The story of New York City, that New York City started settling in 1860, and they started using horse carts to ferry people from one place to another, and also the goods. So horse dung became a problem. During summer time, it used to fly, and in the winter, in the rainy season, it would choke the drains. So 1890, a seminar was organized for 7 days to find out the solution. After 3 days, it was wound up. They said no solution was coming, why to continue the seminar? By 1907, the automobiles was developed. And because automobile was developed, therefore they started replacing the horse carts. And by 1920, all horse carts were replaced in New York because of automobiles. So in America, in New York, the problem of horse dung. In India, we had the problem of human dung. And that problem has been solved by this small technology. So this is very important, that how first place was, how the untouchables were not required to clean the toilets. Dr. Thakur was going in detail about all these things. You should have talked a little more. But what I say, that a class of people were called untouchables. Why? Not other Sudras were called untouchables. They were impure. Because they will not do any other jobs. Had they got some other job, then they would have problems for disposal of human waste. And therefore called untouchables. Had they sold vegetables, nobody will buy from their hands. So this is very important. And then the next step was to give them education and vocational skill to earn their livelihood. And while cleaning night swell, they used to earn 300 rupees. Now how much they earn? 15,000, 20,000 per month. So the change of occupation, now they are economically very comfortable. The third step was Dr. Ambedkar had given 4 indicators to know that untouchability has gone or not. The first, he said, when everybody will go to temple to worship the deities, when everybody will have bath in the same pond, when everybody will draw water from same well to drink water, and they will have common dining, will eat together. And one more thing he said, the social acceptance. Unless they are socially accepted by society, untouchability cannot go. So, by this technology, 1 million untouchables have been freed from scavenger. By Sulam alone, we have freed 2 lakh people from scavenger. And this model of Albert talk, there now they go the same house to sell papadum, noodles, pickles, and do facial to women, where they used to go and clean toilets. I've asked them to just twist the cheek of the clients. They say, why do you do like this? So they say, madam, this was the same house. We used to come, I call untouchables, clean toilets. And what happened today? Now we allow to buy papadum, pickles from our hands, and you share tea with us, and you give your cheek to beautify. So what has happened in 12 years? So that this is the way we have changed their lives. Now one step ahead I have gone. Now they are called Brahmins. Nobody could have thought that this may be possible in this country. That untouchables one day will be called Brahmins. I am sociologist by background. So what I have given to society, when you can change your religion, you can be a Muslim, a Christian, or a Buddhist. Why not in the same religion, you can change your caste? A couple from BBC came to meet me, and they asked, oh, this is not good in your country. The caste system is very bad. By birth, one gets caste. So their son, about maybe 7, 8 years, was playing there in my room. I asked, what is his religion? And immediately she said, oh, he is my son. So he is a Christian, he is just 8 years old. He has not opted Christianity or Hinduism. How he can be Christian? So they said, oh, nobody asked this question from me. So the way you get Christianity, a religion, we get a caste. So there was confrontation between Ambedkar and Gandhi. And Ambedkar said, no, caste system should go. And Gandhi said, no, Bindeshwar is right, but untouchability is wrong. Social discourse is wrong, it should go. So what I have done? I have done synthesis, Gandhi and Ambedkar, and without any violence. I have not torn Vedas and Puranas and Smritis. Just by one step, I have done it. Che Guevara, who took independence of Cuba by violence, he came to India in 1959. And he said in a speech, to feed hungry people, one can resort to violence. But he hastened to add, oh, I don't endorse my views. I endorse the views of Gandhi of non-violence, because if the oppressed will change the oppressor will change the oppressed, and this will continue. So I endorse the views of Gandhi of non-violence. So I have changed the history of India of 5,000 years. That now untouchables are living with others, same other caste, and one head that become Brahmins. So this is how, what is required in this country. You will talk only about problems, or you try to find out the solutions of the problems. You will ask only the government to solve your problems, or you can come forward, come ahead to solve your problems. Public toilets, you know, what is the one we started in Patna in 1974, in Gandhi Meda, you must be showing. The other one, just see the photograph. कोई है बाय बाय कि नहीं है? है ना? कहाँ फोटो कहाँ गया? वो वाला, पंद्रह वाला. Just see. This is the public toilet we are building in Punjapur, and 2 lakh people are using daily. 2 lakh, not 1,500. And from next year, 4 lakh people will use daily. So this is required by the society. If you do something, if 4 lakh people are going there to worship deities, Bittal Bhai, and if they go, and if they don't duplicate it open, so where they will go? So what is solution are doing? So all the conferences, seminar conferences do, but do the solutions also. Just see, this is the biggest in the world. The only toilet is the biggest in the world, the toilet. So that way, now from this biogas, we have produced biogas, and we are using for cooking, for lighting, converting it to energy. Because I am in Patna, you also must, not all, but some of them must have seen from Delhi Road in 83 to 90, we gave electricity for up to Sanjay Gandhi Maidan. But from that, you see, this is the water discharge from public toilet. What is in the hand? Water from public toilet. So society needs this one. Ask the generation which is coming forward. So that is very important, that this water contains 10 BOD. The government standard is 30 BOD. This water contains phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium. Same that fertilizer also. You use it in the field. Don't discharge anywhere. It's very costly. But if you discharge in your bodies, there is no chance of pollution. So the government is asking for 85. Ganga pollution, Ganga pollution, Ganga pollution, and solution is in my hand. This is very important. But engineers, they don't want to sorry, Shankar Singh Haji, I'm not telling you, you see. So the engineers are not in favor of the small technologies. What Gandhi used to say, we should have appropriate technology, affordable. Later on, Schumacher said, small is beautiful. That technologies and scientists should explore to develop small technologies suitable for the poor. It will be affordable, appropriate. But engineers will not touch it. They will talk on this sewer line. And do you know the position of sewer line? 7,935 towns we have today. And out of that, only 732 have the sewage system. And that too partially. In how many years? 148 years. The first sewer was laid in Calcutta, now this is Kolkata, in 1870. So can you imagine? So by this technology, impossible to solve the problems of sanitation in India. But as usual, the last government of Dr. Manmohan Singh, Ganga Action Plan, big names were there. Oh, big committee has been formed. What happened? The committee was met in the beginning, first beginning, and second time after 5 years when it ending. So in 5 वर्ष में 2 बार मुलाकात हुई. एक जब फॉर्मेशन हुआ था, एकदम जा रहे थे सब। तो इतने बड़े कमिटी में बड़े बड़े नाम, this name, I met twice. So how in 2 times you can solve the problem from Ganga? So now I don't want to go into all these things. What I say, that we have solved the problem of arsenic water in West Bengal. The West Bengal government, it was founded in 75, 76, but officially it was detected 82, 83. And the government of West Bengal is still trying to find out the solution, supplying water also partially, but that's not free. And we have found out this water in my hand, 50 paise per liter from pond and wells. And those who had owns, tomorrow if you come to attend the seminar, you will see the Patna hotel. By PTI they have organized the seminar. So there they will come who are infected by this arsenic water. Whole body you see, you cannot think, you can see even. So now they are being cured. And it is being supplied in all the families. Just see this arsenic. This is very important that now we have 5, we have done in ponds and wells. One we have now going to start in Davanga. Tomorrow is the meeting here by the PTA. But that technology now can help in the entire country to solve the arsenic water problem. So you can imagine, Surab started from Bihar. I founded in 1970. And who was the person? And who were the persons? One was Chief Minister of Bihar, Daroga Prasad Rai, who said, can you imagine the visionary politician? He said, politician, in my world, talking about Dr. Thakur. So that way, what he said, social programs cannot be implemented by the government or NGO alone. If they work together, then social programs can be implemented. And the other person was Shatran Singh, was Minister of Urban Development. He asked me to form this organization. So on their advice, I founded Sula. One IAS officer, before Arju Singh came as secretary, Rameshwar Nath, he was from Sitamarhi. And he asked me to come. I went to see him. So he asked, who are you? He started smiling, laughing. I said, sir, you asked me to come and see you. Yes, yes, I have ordered for the tea. I thought an old man with a stick in his hand and a freedom fighter will come to see me. You are nobody. Did you work with Gandhi? I go, sir, I was 5 years old, Gandhi was killed. Oh yes, I said, sit down. He said, in my whole career of IAS, or service, because of property IAS, so he said, I have never studied any file 7 days. But I have, we have written all these things? Okay, yes, sir. Your program, just see the vision of IAS officer. He said, your program is going to create a great impact in this country. But I see a danger in it. What is danger, sir? The danger is you are asking for the grant. You applied for 70,000 rupees? I mean, yes, sir. Department has agreed to give you 50,000 rupees. The file has come to me. But if you take this amount, who was your president of the committee you were working, Gandhi Assembly Committee? Nearby the Gandhi Sangrahalaya. Sir, Governor was the ex officio, president. Who was the chairperson? Sir, Chief Minister ex officio. How much money used to ask for? Sir, 5 lakhs, sir. How much used to get? 2.5 lakhs, sir. When used to apply? Month of April. When used to get? Month of February. Look, A society headed by governance official asking for 5 lakh, getting 2.5 lakh, applying month of April, getting February. But what you? You will take this amount, next year finance department will raise many objections and he will go on replying. Again after 2 years you will get this amount. So my suggestion is you take money for the implementation of the program and out of it saved you run the organization. And until you misuse the money, your program will continue. I said, sir, I will not misuse the money. Sir, he said, oh, I am not talking about right now. We have no money. What you can misuse? Mind changes if he gets money. So again he said, I want a guarantee from you. I was silent. Oh, I am not asking a guarantee from you. I want money, bank guarantee. Can you remember my face? I'm saying, yes, sir. Oh, so quickly he replied, look, I have many files to dispose of. So just see me. So twice I said, sir, it's okay. No. I have many files to dispose of. Many files, our files disposed. He said, now, can you remember me? I'm saying, yes, sir. So he said, give me a promise. If you want to misuse the money of the government and agency, you remember me once. Do you agree? Okay, yes, sir, I agree with you, sir. And he wrote on a file that this organization should not be given grant, only the work should be allotted to the organization. This is how it started. And the first check we got, this is a long story I'm leaving now. 500 rupees I got from Ahram municipality of Bihar. R.K. Mishra was the executive officer. So he signed a check of 500 rupees to build 2 toilets as a model, and he asked his head clerk to come. But they have a head clerk. Oh, if he misuses the money, what will happen? So Pathak said, sir, this boy doesn't look like this. You can take my salary if he does so. He said, no, I can go and get more salary. You don't know him. I know him from before. Why you will take a guarantee? I will take guarantee. And 2 toilets I built in Ahram municipal compound. And Ram Vilas Singh was the chairperson at the time. He was a freedom fighter, a great lawyer of the Ahram town. And when he came, he saw, he was very happy. He said, who did it? So he introduced me. And he said, you do it. This was the name of Gandhi. I am a freedom fighter. After Gandhi, after freedom, everybody got engaged in work. I had become a lawyer here. So this is the beginning of this whole program. And now, I have not taken a single farthing as a donation, as a grant for any year. Not a single farthing. So much difficult for me. 500 rupees starting, then Buxar came, then 1,000. The government of Bihar gave a circular, now we're okay everywhere. So you have to earn money, but why will somebody will give you work? If your work is not good quality, why somebody will give you work? So this is very important I leave here because it's a long story. What I want to say here, to the boys and girls sitting in, if they are here, that you have to become a change maker. You have to make difference in the lives of the people. You have to make difference in sanitation, health, and other things of the country. So you will have to not only talk. You will have to work, and that will make a difference in other people. So this is on this day of this, remember Dr. R.K. Sinha. What I say, now I just come back for 2 minutes more, that social reconstruction. This I want, that English literature should come forward. I wanted to do delete in English literature. But Dr. Prashad was our guide. So he said, no, I'm going to London, find out the books in the library. He came back and said, no, there's not enough materials to do it in English literature, do it in sociology. So now a time has come that people from English literature should come forward and they should join hands for social reconstruction of this country. And they should join hands. What are written in the English literature, they come forward. Just see, I'm showing you the BBC Horizon. Sulab has been declared one of the 5 inventions of the world, not 1 or 2 or 4. Thousands and thousands of inventions have been done, but Sulab has been declared one of the 5 inventions of the world. So this is very important. This is very important. You are among 40 people, 50 people of the world. दुनिया के जो 7 अरब लोग हैं, उसमें 50 लोगों को एक मैगजीन है इकोनॉमिस्ट जिसने चुना है. और जैसा फोटो आप लोग से लीजिए, सब लोग तो उसमें 50 को चुना गया, जिसमें ग्रेट क्लिंटन है और फिर बराक ओबामा है. 50 में एक आप हैं. तो ये बिहार का जो ये है काम आपका है कि 7 अरब में 50, अब 50 में एक होना कितना कठिन काम है, आप सोच सकते हैं. लेकिन आप हो सकते हो, जो बैठे हुए उनके लिए है, आप ही के लिए कंक्लूड करेंगे चैलेंज पढ़ करके कि ये जो है कि इसमें आप 7 अरब में 50 हो सकते हो यदि मेहनत करो तो. अभी हम लोग पुरस्कार मिला जापान से, निके एशिया प्राइज. जापान ने कहा कि फला पर छप तो गया कि तुमने बहुत सी बोला है, ऐसा नहीं है. वो ये है कि ये प्राइज मिला कि आपने अछूतों का उद्धार किया, आपने पब्लिक हेल्थ पर काम किया, इसलिए पुरस्कार को दिया जाता है. जापान ने दिया है. और आरा शहर में ही मैंने क्या किया, इसको आप देखिए जैसा कि I clean toilets like a scavengers for 2 days, 7 hours every day. I cleaned mosquito from the houses, took on the head, went to discharge. It's 3 or 4 kilometers away from there, and did for 2 days, just to know the pains and feelings of the untouchables. Nobody has done in this world so far. Gandhi was a great person. I don't want to compare with him, but Gandhi also did not do like this, not clean that is. So this is very important that I did for this. And also, because I am from Patna, so I am telling you, this is also we have got. The I will de Blasio, Mayor of the City of New York, do hereby proclaim Thursday, April 14, 2016, the City of New York as Dr. Bindeshwar Day. So one day has been declared in your name from the New York, America. America has not given this prestige to anybody so far, to any Indian. So this is very important, and those who come to Delhi, please come and see the campus. This is the only museum in the world, this toilet museum in the world, the only museum in the world. You can come and see how many things are there, from Mohenjo-daro to up till now. So now I conclude. I don't want to take your time. There's a video, I am working on video also. This is a young boy has made a video. So this is also, we are working. So this is what I want to, just to conclude, the Supreme Court of India asked us to do. Supreme Court has not given direction to any NGO so far. Supreme Court gives direction to central government or state governments, not to any particular society or organization. But Supreme Court gave action in the case of Sulab. This is a prestige you have got in society. So this is very important that if you do like this, So now I just conclude and say to the young boys and girls, I just read for you. That's it. I call upon the students sitting here to work hard, and the competition for them now is getting tougher and tougher every day. You have to prove your potential at the global level. You have to contribute a lot to the development of India and to earn a name for your department or university. You are not only the future of the nation, but the backbone of the present. I wish you all the best for your success. Now, just conclude, I am going to edit a book, Social Reconstruction in English Literature. So those who want to contribute an article to be published in that book, you please, we can send your article, and we'll include there 3 months time for writing the article, and 3 months will take for publication. So after 6 months, the book will come out. So within 3 months, if you want, the topic is Social Reconstruction in English Literature. So with these words, once again I pay my tribute to Sinha, and what is important that Dr. Thakur said, जो लोग आज के लोग याद नहीं करते, लेकिन हमको भी याद करते हुए चले गए। तो ये है कि हमारी जो संस्कृति है, इसको जो बचा के रखना है, तो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात है। अब इतने विजडम की बातें कही है दामोदर ठाकुर जी ने, उसको तो ग्रैप्स करते हैं। हमारे रिकॉर्ड सब हो रहा है हमारा, तो हम इसको जाके एक एक शब्द को सुनेंगे, फिर करेंगे, हार्ट के अंदर ले जाएंगे। इतने विजडम के शब्द कहे हैं, बातें कही है कि हर आदमी इसको यदि अपनाए अपने लाइफ में, तो वास्तव में उसका तो सब खुल जाएगा, चारों सब खुल जाएगा। एक उसको रोशनी मिलेगी। जितनी बातें उन्होंने कही है, उसको यदि कोई ठीक से सुने उसको, तो जीवन बदल जाएगा। इसी शब्दों के साथ एक बार पूर्ण सब लोगों को धन्यवाद।
That we will be working in the field of sanitation and better environment. Now I request Dr. Sanjay Datta Roy to the dais, who is the professor in the Department of English and Modern European Language. He is also a senior Fulbright Fellow in Louisiana State University and Fulbright Visiting Professor, US Berkeley.
सर एक बार हाँ
Cut short on the protocol because we are already running behind schedule. So I'll thank the
दादा
R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee and especially my friend Professor Shankar Dutt for thinking of me and calling me here as a speaker. Though let me, right in the beginning, sort of tell you that I have not been a student of Patna University. I am an outsider in that sense, and I never knew R.K. Sinha. I had heard about him in Allahabad, and therefore I'm not exactly in a position to talk a lot about him. I'll take off from something, you see, which struck me when I was listening to the speakers who were remembering him. And that will take me to the subject on which I'm going to talk. The man goes away, the stories remain. Legends are created, myths are created. Something of reality remains in them, and something is added in fiction. In fact, that is what makes it interesting. The mix of fact and fiction through which a person becomes a legendary figure, and the stories, how they
recreate themselves over a period of time. I'll be talking about the pedagogy of stories. The pedagogy of stories actually is connected very deeply to something, which has been a concern for quite a while with us teachers of literature in universities. And here you see, what comes to my mind is that we have to perhaps realize, as teachers of literature, what is so special about being a teacher of literature. How is communication in a literature class different from communication in some other discipline? It all depends on what we are wanting to communicate. Are we communicating ideas? Are we communicating concepts? Are we sharing experience? Are we looking at the external realities, the objective world? Are we exploring inner truths within ourselves? And here I was remembering a few things which many of you was connected with literature and need not be connected with literature would be correlating with, I'm sure. There are these lines from T.S. Eliot's Choruses from the Rock, which had come to my mind in connection with a talk that Shankar had given in Allahabad some time back, and which was on humanities and the crisis in humanities. And there it came to me, that when Eliot in the choruses said, "Where is the wisdom that we lost in knowledge? And where is the knowledge that we lost in information?" We are in an age of information. We are swamped by information. It's information technology. It's imparting of information. It's imbibing of information. It's writing of information in examinations. And in this, we have moved far away from knowledge and wisdom. As people who are involved with literature and literary studies, this is the furthest we can get, the furthest point from what we are supposed to be doing, if we get lost in information. The other thing that also came to my mind was something from the Delphic Oracle, and here, my earlier speaker had also referred to this, but this is not, it was in the Indian context that was being referred to, but it's also there in the Delphic Oracle. It says, "Know thyself." Know yourself. The self is a very complex entity, and it cannot be simplified. We have tried to simplify the self, but it refuses simplification. In this context, I would try to bring in a thinker who has been, I think, neglected a lot. We talk of William Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, all the Romantic poets, and I don't think we talk that much about William Blake. William Blake had said a few things which become particularly relevant in this context. He talked about the first poets, the prolifics, as he called them, the prolifics created a world in language. They gave language to the world. They created the gods in language. But what they created in language, the gods that they created, the world that they created, was a complex world which consisted of what Blake called contraries. Again, my earlier speaker spoke about contradictions when he was searching for the language, you see, which is required. I know, I do not know. These are contraries that exist, you see. I exist, I do not exist. Blake talked about the contraries. And he said that the contraries were together as identity in the world that was created. And out of that identity came the energy of the world and the word. But again, Eliot comes, humankind cannot bear too much truth. It's very difficult, you see, because when we are looking at complexities, contraries bound together as identity and energy, in the gods, in the world, in the word, it's very difficult for the second category that Blake talked of, the devourers. The devourers are the people, you see. Everybody is part of this devouring mechanism. They want to devour truth. The prolific poets, they created the food, but the food was difficult to digest by the devourers because it was too complex. And therefore, what Blake calls priesthood came into as mediatory between the poets and the devourers, between the prolifics and the devourers. And priesthood simplified the complexities of the contraries through what he called negation. When there was a contrary of good and evil, body, soul, these are contraries. One was negated at the cost of the other. The body was inferior, the soul was superior. Good was better, evil is bad. This simplification through negation ultimately got bureaucratized into religion, doctrinaire, and priesthood assumed the power from the prolific poets. It's a complex thinking, and the reason why I brought this up particularly is that, you see, as we move into the various disciplines of study over the centuries, you see, the tendency in each discipline is to break down the various elements of knowledge, take a certain line, a stream, move in that direction, like political thought, philosophical thought, and various other disciplines. It is only in the literary studies, in literature as such, you see, as we understand literature to be, which I will define by and by, I'll go deeper into that, that we retain the complexity and try to communicate that complexity as it is, as energy and identity. What I mean here is that when we are trying to communicate something, is it an idea that we are trying to communicate? I'll give you one example. Long back, I read this essay by E.M. Foster. I think many of you might have read it. It's Notes on an English Character. Now, if somebody is asked to write an essay, notes on an Indian character, notes on an English character, notes on this. If it's an essay, we know that we are dealing with ideas. We'll try to sort of think, what's the Indian character? It is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's the British English character? 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like this. Interestingly, Foster didn't do it. He started telling little stories. And out of these stories, certain things emerged which revealed the English character and also the Indian character, interestingly. And one of the stories is that two friends, one British, the other Indian, they meet, they spend their holidays together, and in the end of the holiday, when they are parting, the Indian is very emotional. And he says, oh my God, I'm going to miss you a lot. The Britisher is very matter of fact, stiff upper lip, typical. Oh, come on, that's okay, we'll meet again. It was nice. So, and then the Britisher makes a comment. He says that you Indians, you are very weird. See, for small little things, you see, there's so much of emotion that you spill, entire bucketfuls of emotion. What will happen when actually the big occasion comes? You will not have any emotion left. So, the Indian replies, and he says, this is what you are, bankers. You see? Because all you can think of is money that is spent and is gone, you know, and then where is the money left for the big occasion, right? Now this is just a story. He is not saying that British character, English character 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but this story contains within itself, in its complexity, in its contraries, certain truths which will remain as those truths and which I am claiming is the main forte of literature as such. Based on this, you see, which is basically the theoretical premise of this entire concept of stories as being central to pedagogy, I'll just briefly refer to our own tradition of Vishnu Sharma and the Panchatantra. People talk about the Panchatantra, people talk about Vishnu Sharma, and it's absolutely valid. Because the princes, you see, when they refused to learn, when they were being taught grammar, mathematics, you see, by the various tutors who were there, who were tutoring them, they said that they couldn't hear anything, they couldn't see anything, they couldn't speak. And the king was troubled about it, that what's going to happen to my children, you see, I mean, they are supposed to be the future kings. And if this is the situation, how do I get them educated? And that's the time, you know, Vishnu Sharma came into the scene, somebody proposed his name, and he said, okay, no, there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine, they can see, they can hear, they can speak. Send them over to me. And what did he do? He told them stories. The Panchatantra. The stories, you see, which communicated statecraft, human emotions, life, and they didn't, without even realizing things, that they were being educated, that they were being taught, that they had examinations to give. They got educated. They became ideal kings when they grew up. This is the power of stories, whether they are animal fables, whether they are human stories, whether they are divine stories. It's one of the most important things, you see, in communication, in literature and literary studies and literary teaching. I really don't know R.K. Sinha, what was his method of teaching in class, but I know this, you see, that there are other legendary figures, and I know, you see, because Allahabad University also happens to be an old university, and we have figures, you know, who have become legends there as well. But there I know, you see, that most of them who have made themselves a name, you see, have made it because, you see, the way they communicated their ideas, the totality of that communication, where they were able to sort of, through the personality and the amalgamation of the ideas from within that personality, you see, emanating from it, you see, rather, the two combining together made the ideal combination, you see, which the students grasped not merely as concepts and ideas, you see, which were there, of course. The concepts and ideas were certainly there. But much more than that, you see, they imbibed an entire value system, an entire life itself, you see, got communicated in the process. So here, you see, I thought that from here, from the simplicity of storytelling as pedagogy, how it makes one embark into the journey of discovery from concepts to experience, knowledge, and hopefully to wisdom. From here, I move to another dimension, you see, which is also very important, which I'm sure many of the good teachers, the great teachers, had within them, you see, and that is performance. The ability to perform. And here I am sort of not talking of theatre. Theatre, of course, is there. Which is another reason why, you see, we have this very complex thing, that we don't know where to place something like theatre in literary studies. Is it performing art or is it literature? Whereas it is both. Everything, even poetry, when we are teaching it, it is both performing art as well as literature. And the reason why I took up performing arts is because of what is the oral tradition and the way the oral tradition moves. And here, we know, you see, that there are these stories which are there in myths, mythologies, Mahabharata, Ramayana, they contain so many stories. But what happens is, you see, that over a period of time, those stories change. And the change in those stories happens because of the performer, the performance, over a period of time. It depends on who is telling the story. It depends on what the context is. And it also depends when is the story being told. The same story, as it moves through the centuries, gets changed. And here too I'll just give one small example. And this is from a story by Mahashrata Devi. It's a small little story. And this is a story when many years after the Mahabharata war was over, when Gandhari and Dhritarashtra decide to go for Vanavas. And when they're going for Vanavas, because Dhritarashtra is blind, and Gandhari has also literally become blind because she had folded her eyes for so many years. So they can't go alone. So Kunti decides to go with them. Kunti goes to the forest. She collects firewood, fruits, berries every day, brings it back. And every day when she goes out into the forest, she sits down quietly, meditates, confesses. She's a disturbed soul. And she's disturbed because of certain things in her life, of which the Karna episode is very, very important, and what happened to him. And when she does this, you see, there are these Nishadin women who come collecting firewood and things. They watch her every day. She also sees them, but there's no communication between them. And then one day, she notices that all the birds and animals are flying in a certain direction. And she's wondering why this is happening, when one of the Nishadin women comes and talks to her for the first time and says, "You are Kunti. You belong to the Rajavrit, I belong to the Lokavrit. And we don't understand each other. But every day we have been listening, we have been hearing, we have been able to understand what disturbs you. Strangely, you see, in our social cultural system, this is not even considered as something to be very disturbed about. It's very strange that you gave your son away like that, you see. I mean, you should have kept the child. A child is born out of love. It has to be celebrated, don't be ashamed of it and throw the child away." And then she says, "But there is something about which you should be ashamed, but you have never once mentioned it." He said that once, when you were in the Lakshagriha, in hiding with your 5 sons, you invited a Nishadin woman with her 5 sons. And you held these parties in that Lakshagriha. And you gave them so much to drink that they were in a state of stupor. They couldn't get up. And you know what happened after that. And he said, "Not once have you confessed about it. That is something that you must confess about. You should." The reason why I am telling this, you see, is that the story has moved. This is not from Vyasa's Mahabharata. And yet, it is contained, you see, as a subtext in the Mahabharata, which is a story that evolves with time to bring in new truths. Similarly, you see, in Arun Kolatkar, the Marathi poet, in his Sarpa Satra, you see, there is this entire consciousness about the Nagas being tribals, you see, who are being eliminated by Janmejaya. And Astika is telling Jaratkaru to go and stop what is happening. And at that time, you see, earlier, what had happened was, you see, when the Kandav forest was being burnt, when Arjun and Krishna are testing the Divya Astras and burning the forest. At that time, so many species of butterflies, animals, deers, the rarest of rares, some became extinct. They just disappeared from the face of this earth. But in the Mahabharata text, it's a celebratory thing. But in Kolatkar's text, the environmental consciousness comes in, you see, which is today's consciousness. So, what I mean to say is, you see, that the stories by themselves can never ever be simple. They contain certain complexities within themselves, which will always have some scope in the retelling of it, you see, in bringing in newer elements into it, and which will always be something, you see, which is required in an understanding and reading of what we term as literary texts. I remember that when we were doing Hayavadan on stage, the section comes, you see, where the two heads are cut and they're interchanged. Devdutt is a Brahmin of an upper caste, and Kapil, his friend, is a working class, Lohar. And their heads are cut, the heads get interchanged, and the question now is, who is who? Now this is from the Kathasarit Sagar, this is from Vikram Vetal's story. Who is who now? The one with the head, is that going to determine the identity of the person, or the one with the body? Now, interestingly, you see, when we were doing the play, the Bhagavat is supposed to ask this question to the audience when this happens, and tells the audience that, okay, fine, interval, all of you go and have some tea, think about this question. Huh? Lunch now, not tea, right? I know, I can understand, that's a hint to me. So there is this, you see that? So, come back after lunch, and then we shall think about it. So, that is the thing, you see, I mean, it is this interactive part of the performance text. I mean, I'm using theatre in a wider sense, thank you. I'm using it in a wider sense, because this classroom also is a theatre. Any place is a theatre. Any room is a theatre, you see, because there is an interplay of ideas, an interplay of experiences that is taking place, you see, right there. So the entire thing gets complicated now. I mean, it is not the head. The head is a determining factor in a society which is Brahmanical. That is the time when, you see, even in the Kathasarit Sagar, there is no problem with the answer. The problem to the answer comes now, today, because we were talking about the untouchables, you see. Now here, this is the question, you see. So what about the body? Because the lower you go, the lower castes come there. It's the head, which is the upper caste. Shoulders, the Kshatriyas. You go down, you see, it is the lower caste. And there you see, there Padmini touches Kapil's body. It is actually Devdutt's body with Kapil's head in Hayavadan. And then Kapil's head has a strange thing to say. It says, my head should recognize this touch, but it doesn't recognize the touch, because this touch was not there earlier, because it was Devdutt's head which was there on Devdutt's body, which means the body also has its memories. It's a total identity which is being talked of, right? So here, I know, I mean, we are running short of time, and the lunch break is close. So I'll stop here today. It is endless. You see, the stories continue. There is no end to the stories. Okay.
J.P. Singh to the dais now. He is the retired professor and head of department of English, Patna University, and the former vice chancellor of LNM University, Darbhanga, He has also taught in Yemen for several years and has also done the phonetic transcription of the Holy Quran. He continues to be an eminent professor in the Department of English for invited lectures.
I think we are getting late, and the sooner I finish the better. So I beg your forgiveness right in the beginning. First, I am reminded of Henry Ford's statement. Coming together is the beginning. Sitting together is progress. Working together is achievement or success. I must congratulate and praise as far as possible the organizers of this cultural personal show. But I must first start with my one comment in paying obeisance to Dr. R.K. Sinha. Undoubtedly, he was one of the most profoundly interesting teachers I have been a student. He was fond of quoting lines, quoted from Keats, quoted from Wordsworth, quoted from Poe. And many a time he quoted these lines. Shut, shut the door, good John, fatigued I said. Shut, shut the door, good John, fatigued I said. Tie up the knocker, say I am sick, I am dead. I don't want to meet foolish people. I don't want to, not only to waste my time, but to waste my energy and waste my emotion. So I would like to meet them. Dr. Sinha used to refer to these lines quite often. I couldn't realize the depth of the meaning and the profundity of the reference right then. Later on, I could realize how much was he like Albert Einstein. So when I remember how he referred to Alexander Pope, now I remember Dr. Sinha was sounding like Einstein. How? See, once Einstein was questioned. Somebody asked him, well, doctor, you have been talking about infinities. What do you mean by infinities? Einstein said, there are two infinities. I believe one is the expanding universe, number one, and the other is the human stupidity. I'm not sure about the first. The universe might not be expanding, but human stupidity is expanding. And the entire question boils down to this: whether man is divine or bovine or beast, what is he? What type of a creature is he? There is one William James, a very famous one, psychologist. He said, man biologically speaking is the most ferocious of and formidable beasts of prey. And the more dangerous thing is that his get bent on liquidating his own species. This is what we have seen in the world. This continuation of stupidity, that is point number one. And then the second thing we have to realize is that this human creation has been right from the very beginning, full of puzzles, unbelievable. I was reading a poem by some satirist where he writes, क्या करामात है कुदरत का, क्या करामात है कुदरत का, जिंदा आदमी पानी में डूब जाता है और मुर्दा निश्चेष तैरता दिखता है। क्या कुदरत है? You can't give a final judgment on what man is, maybe divine or maybe a beast of prey. So क्या करामात है कुदरत का, जिंदा आदमी पानी में डूब जाता है और मुर्दा तैरता दिखता है। मैंने कभी मौत को देखा नहीं, पर लगता है बड़ी खूबसूरत होगी। मैंने मौत को कभी देखा नहीं, पर लगता है बड़ी खूबसूरत होगी। कमबख्त जो उसे एक बार देख लेता है जीना छोड़ देता है। That has been happening, and it has happened all through, right from the beginning of the human history or human creation. The stories are there. This has been happening, and Dr. Thakur wonderfully talked about the contraries, and this is what it leads to. And even in Bhagavad Gita, whether man is good or bad, but the properties there which we have, सत्वम रजस तमस तथा, ये तीन गुण हैं, सात्विक राजसी तामसी। गीता से ये जो तीनों गुण, ये गुण है सत्वम रजस तमस तथा गुणः इति गुणः प्रकृति संभवा। We have inherited it. Humanity has inherited it. We can't pinpoint the time. We have inherited it. प्रकृति संभवा निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो, बांध लेते हैं। You can't escape them. Nobody can escape them. Be he a superman or an ordinary man. Everybody, history judges, sometimes holds you responsible, sometimes doesn't. So, निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो, ये सबको बांध लेते हैं, and it's very difficult to escape. So, man has been one of the most stupid creations, and this goes on back Srimad Bhagavat. There is the story, it's a wonderful one. The earth has been, the Mother Earth is talking about humanity, talking exactly as Einstein talked about. You just realize the point of similarity, or at least the tonal similarity. The tone is nearly the same. She is talking about the stupidity of humanity. And she says, look here. Drishtva Atmanijay, his Mother Earth, finds that there are people who want to conquer the world, conquer the earth. सब कोई सिकंदर बनना चाहता है, conquer the world. Drishtva Atmani Jaya, Vyagran Nripam, mad kings, mad monarchs, mad warriors. Atmani Jaya, Hasati Bhuriyam. Bhuri कहते हैं पृथ्वी को. Mother Earth laughs sarcastically. Look here. These people who are not going to live, they want to rule over me, they want to conquer the earth. So, Drishtva Atmani Jaya Vigram Nipan Hasit Bhuriyam Oho Mam Vijigishanti, वो मुझे जीतना चाहते हैं. And who are they? मृत्यु प्रिय का नृपा. ये जो राजा जितने हैं ना, they are all subject to death. They'll die very soon. They'll die very soon. And in the context of eternity, 100 years or 200 years doesn't matter at all. So, Hasati Bhuriyam, because they want to conquer me, and therefore she says, and what do they say? What do these kings say? Mai eva mahi Krishna. Meri bhumi mahi Krishna. Puri bhumi meri hai. I'll conquer the whole world. Mai eva mahi Krishna. ये सारी भूमि मेरी है. तो result is the mother earth says aspardhamana mitho ghranti mriyante cha mat krite nirpa. They are competing with each other. Aspardhamana, they are murderously competitive. Not only foolishly, murderously competitive. Aspardhamana mitho ghranti. बिना वजह के लोगों को मार रहे हैं. Killing unnecessarily. Mriyante cha. And also getting killed. Mat krite nirpa. And then ultimately she says, Kathavashesha. Ultimately only one. Their story will be there, might be, their story will be there, not they in reality. Kathavashesha. Kalena hektartha kritadivu. Time, the most powerful element, has made them useless, has made them futile. So it is this stupidity of the human race that was time and again pointed out and referred to by Dr. Sinha. Seems to be one of the most everlasting thread as far as the human reality is concerned. And finally, I'll end again with a few lines from one of the world's greatest poets, greatest in the sense in India. He's talking about world war. Why should man kill man? Why should he? It applies as well to Pakistan as to India, to Putin as well as to Donald Trump, to all. Why should it be so? He says, खून अपनों का बहे या औरों का. खून अपनों का बहे या औरों का, नस्ले आदम का खून है आखिर. खून अपनों का बहे या औरों का, नस्ले आदम का खून है आखिर. जंग मशरिक में हो या मशरिक में, whether there is the battle or any kind of battle, you might have been watching the Syrian refugees, the Rohingyas, and all of them. So, जंग मशरक में हो या मगरिब में, whether the fight takes place in the west or in the east, अमन आलम का खून है आखिर. Then he says, are you so foolish? बर्तरी की सबूत की खातिर खून बहाना क्या जरूरी है? To show your strength, We might be reading every day. Combined armed forces of different countries having their military exercise, naval exercise, aerial exercise. तो बर्तरी की सबूत की खातिर, just to show your superiority, बर्तरी is superiority. बर्तरी की सबूत की खातिर खूब बहाना क्या जरूरी है? घर की तारीकियां मिटाने को घर जलाना क्या जरूरी है? If your house is in darkness, would you set fire to your house and see light for some time, and then the house gets burned to ashes? तो घर की तारीकियां मिटाने को घर जलाना क्या जरूरी है? That is the final question we have to keep in our mind. Are we good, divine, or basically stupid? Lunch is more important.
Yes, who is the chairman of the program and head of the Department of English, Patna University. He has been honored with the Best Teacher Award by Patna University. And in the field of English literary criticism and in new literary theories in English, he has recognition on the global level.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rashbihari Prasad Singh, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, Professor Damodar Thakur, who delivered an excellent address, as did Professor Sanjay Datta Roy from Allahabad University and a good friend, Dr. J.P. Singh, who has been my teacher, my mentor, my research supervisor. I cannot express gratitude sufficiently for who he has been. Dr. Avdesh Sharma, good friend, and somebody who was always so encouraging. Senior teachers, guests, my very, very dear students, faculty, and ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that we experience while being in Patna University today is different from what Dr. Sinha must have experienced in his own time. When Dr. Sinha was in the Department of English, people came to Patna. While we are around, people move away from this city. Patna has been in a state of transit for many decades. I wish to recall two very small anecdotes before I talk about some other things. The first is associated with how destinies have very, very strange destinations for people. And in that sense, today that I stand before you, today that I belong to the Department of English, Patna University, a department that I love so much, has in many ways crafted tangentially by Dr. Sinha. There was a family friend we had. My family comes largely from a family of educationists. And this gentleman, a person by the name of Professor Amalendu Bose, was a very close friend of Dr. Sinha. When I finished my master's from Delhi University, I got two simultaneous appointments. One was an appointment for 3 months against a leave vacancy in a place called Venkateshwar College, and the other was in Patna University. Professor Amalendu Bose jumped into decision making, and he said, let him not teach in an upstart university. He has to go to Radha's department. And that was it. The other small anecdote that I remember is many years ago, I had met Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak at a party. His elder daughter happened to be a student, and I asked him, why is it that you have put your daughter in Patna College, not Patna Women's College? And he answered, I would like my daughter to compete with everybody right across the spectrum. I wouldn't like my daughter to live in isolation. That told a story that we have tried to pursue over the years and more purposefully in the last few months. What our students need today is exposure to the outside world. Otherwise, we stay completely cocooned, completely isolated, and we do not know what is happening in the world outside. Very frequently and very egotistically believing we are doing great things when we are actually 30 years behind where the world is. And that is why it is so important that a function such as today's is being held, where all our young minds, they are exposed to different set of ideas that have flowed in from the various speakers who have spoken. The sharing of ideas marks the beginning of dialogue. It marks the beginning first of being informed and later to become producers of knowledge, and then finally acquiring wisdom. And that is what is so essential. English studies today is probably one of the most significant subjects known to the world, although its respect has declined. And one of the reasons why it has declined is largely because after, in the post-WTO situation that we find ourselves in, every kind of a discipline has to be productive in the marketplace. And when it has to become productive in the marketplace, there are certain kinds of subjects that receive priority because these are the subjects that generate wealth. They need not improve necessarily the quality of life, although they do in many ways, in material sorts of ways. But subjects such as English or the other disciplines within the humanities, these are subjects that enrich the soul. These are subjects that give us certain choices that we can make in life, improves the quality of life. Today, what we have is an overbearing emphasis and a prioritization of the STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, math. And that is happening globally. But if you view the world at a point in time when the humanities were respected, and you view the world today where the humanities are low down in the order of priorities, I would like to ask one question: has the world improved or has it deteriorated? When we look at the newspapers every morning, what are the stories that confront us? The stories that confront us are associated with violence. They confront us with human horrors. What the world lacks is empathy. And that is exactly what English studies, or for that matter, literature, in any language, provides for us. That's what philosophy provides to us. So if we have to make this world a better place, a place that we would be remembered for as a civilization, then I suggest we develop a certain kind of an empathy through the studies in the humanities, because that is ultimately what is going to sustain this world. Science, technology, we've seen how it's misused has ruined human beings, ruined the world. So therefore, one of the things that I appeal to everybody, and I've been doing this for the last 6 months, going across to various universities and talking about either the crisis in the humanities, and at Allahabad, a very senior professor and a person I admire immensely, he said, the problem is not with the humanities, the problem is with the human being. But the problem is, again, that the humanities, the study of humanities, can make human beings. And that is precisely why, if you remember, the then UGC chairman, Professor Yashpal, had, in his rejuvenation of higher education, had spoken about the necessity of the studies in humanities and social sciences right across the universities, because public sphere leaders emerge from these, if they were to emerge from these disciplines, they would be sensitive to the needs of the people they serve. And that is precisely why the IITs and the NITs, they have departments of humanities and social sciences. Strangely, one particular field that does much for human beings, for healthcare, medical colleges, they do not have departments of humanities. And that is an irony. To talk about a little bit about the Department of English. We have inherited a wonderful legacy. A legacy that has been handed down to us by a person of the eminence of Dr. R.K. Sinha. It is a challenge and a burden. More of a challenge as we look at it. What we are happy about is, and things that not many people know about, is possibly there are many areas in English studies that Patna University, for example, was the first to introduce. One of those, you'll be very happy to hear, Padma Shri Bindeshwar Pathak, is Dalit Studies. This has been a part of our core syllabus now for 15 years. So what we try to do is, I know Marxism is dead in the world, but I think in many parts of India, there are wonderful Marxists. People study only to get marks in the examinations. This needs to change. We need critical thinking. Encourage critical thinking. Because it's only through critical thinking, when we look at how the other defines the self, it is only then that we can acquire a certain sensitivity and empathy. Without that empathy, we will still follow the kind of binaries that Western epistemology and ontology has given unto us through a great man called Aristotle, whose whole idea of the laws of identity, the laws of non-contradiction, and the laws of the excluded middle has created oppressive structures for us. We need to break down those binaries. We need a certain kind of a fluidity between opposites, between contraries that we have been talking about, between, let us say, those that are upper caste and those that do not even feature in the Varn Vyavastha or the Jati Pratha. We need a completely different outlook to dealing with different genders. We need a different outlook to deal with different nationalities. Because at the end of the day, what we are and what we'll be defined by is, have we been human? And to be human does not mean focusing only on human beings. It also means that we focus on equitably to the non-human world. Those of us who believe will remember that everything that exists in the world has been created by God, and the ultimate spirituality is to recognize the sacredness of all creation. And if we do, how do we discriminate? Those that are non-believers will also possibly remember the fact that we all exist in the world. Everything is possibly material, but everything across the board that is even material has a certain value, and we should do nothing to devalue that. As Dr. J.P. Singh concluded his address by saying, there are more important things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than have been thought of in his philosophy. I think everybody has some stimuli working in the middle of the body, and everybody is waiting for lunch. I will not disappoint anybody. Thank you for your patience.
To give the vote of thanks.
And Dr. R.K. Sinha Memorial Committee, I feel extremely privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this solemn and august occasion. I express our deep gratitude to all dignitaries present today and all members of this audience whose presence has made this function a memorable occasion. We are deeply indebted to our chief guest, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, for his esteemed presence, his words of wisdom, and his constant support, without which such a function would not be easy to organize. We are extremely grateful to Dr. Raj Bihari Prasad Singh, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Patna University, for gracing this occasion. I extend our deep sense of gratitude to our esteemed speakers, Dr. Damodar Thakur and Dr. Sanjoy Datta Roy, for their enlightening lectures, which have enriched us with their information, knowledge, and wisdom. I thank our guests of honor, Dr. J.P. Singh, former Vice Chancellor, LNMU, Darbhanga, and Dr. Abdesh Kumar Sharma, retired Professor of English and Editor, Sulabh India, for their inspiring presence and intellectually invigorating speeches. We are deeply and specially thankful to the chairperson of this function, Professor Shankar Ashish Dutt, Head, Department of English, for his invaluable and constant guidance and cooperation, and his excellent speech, all of which have made this program an unforgettable experience. We are also indebted to all scholars here for their esteemed presence, and to the organizers for making this great event happen. I thank the media for their interest and the volunteers for their indefatigable support. Last but not least, I express my gratitude to the audience for making this program a success. Thank you.